We'll open this to the public. Any comments? Yes.
Lois Wolke, Peak Road, Edison.
You're recognized. You have the floor.
Thank you. This this is a long time coming. I live in the Heights. My kids went to James Monroe School. Parking there has been a horror since the early 70s and 80s. My friend was a crossing guard there until she retired. I can't tell you how many fights there were over parking, so I hope this alleviates a lot of the, thank you very much.
No, it's our pleasure. Thank you. Anybody else from the public would like to speak?
Motion to close the public
Being
hearing.
none, motion to close. Councilman Patil, Councilwoman Joyce Ship Freeman. The public portion is closed. Can I have a motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt?
Councilman Harris.
Seconded.
Second. Councilman Patil. Any council comments? Hearing none, roll call.
Councilmember Brescher.
Yes.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Patel.
Yes.
Councilmember Patil.
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Ship Freeman.
Yes.
Council President Coyle.
Yes. 9, public comments on the resolutions only open to the public. We don't list this. Anybody else to comment on the resolutions only? Mr. Christo?
Christo, South Edison, am I recognized?
You recognize. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Council President. I'll start with the last one. R497, resolution authorizing municipal support for Herbalife, the cannabis one. Is this to one of Sam Joshi's friends, Neville Aristani? Does anyone know who this license is being given to? Business Administrator, is R497 for Neville Aristani?
You have to go through the chair. I can answer that question. I'll answer all your questions.
So why haven't you already?
You're done. When you're finished.
When I'm finished?
When you're finished with all your questions, I'll answer them.
You were so quick to answer them yesterday during my time. Would you like to answer again during my time? Does R497, is this for Neville Aristani? Simple yes or no. Are you stalling
When you're
on answering
finished,
the question to waste time?
I'm not. When you're finished with your questions, I'll answer all your questions.
All right. R495, resolution establishing Smart City Advisory Committee. That seems pretty foolish since you guys don't take advice from anybody, not even those on your own council. R477, to the chair, to Councilman Brescher. A resolution awarding contract purchase orders to Field Turf, $585,000. It's a lot of money right there. You look at Swales Park, can't even afford a basketball hoop over there. I don't believe you can allocate this money properly. You wasted all that money for the community garden over there. You couldn't even put a basketball hoop in. Very shameful, very disgusting. Very negligent in your duties as council people, I believe. So back to the last one. Is that company for Neville Aristani? I believe it is for Neville Aristani. So I find that very disgusting. Mayor Sam Joshi, again, rewarding one of his closest allies, Neville Aristani, with the cannabis license. This is shocking since he was the racist flyer team's greatest supporters. Joyce, I know you're against the so-called racist flyer team. So are you going to vote for this? To me, Sam Joshi and those he call the racist flyer team are two sides on the same coin. Absolutely disgusting. Is this for Neville Aristani, Council President Joe Coyle? How much time do I have, Marlena? 3 minutes.
At the end of your 6 minutes, I'll answer your questions.
I don't want to yield my time. Can you answer now so I can continue in?
At the end of your questions,
I believe it is for Neville Aristani. Quid pro quo. You cover up for the racist flyers in this township, you get rewarded. What did he get rewarded with? cannabis license to be a legalized dope dealer. So the same guy who had smoke business over in Metuchen selling bath salts to kids, Council President Joe Coyle to Councilman Brescher, selling bath salts to kids, Brescher. You know, out in Florida, the kids, they smoke the bath salts, they do whatever it is with these bath salts, they start eating each other's faces. It was all over the news. Here we have Neville Aristani selling this stuff to the kids in the community, selling it in Metuchen Smoke Shop. Are we going to reward him when he was one of the biggest supporters, possibly helped manufacture some of the racist material? And we're going to reward them with, I find that absolutely abhorrent. It's disgusting. And it's absolutely what I'd expect from council. All these council people up here are negligent, except Councilman Richard Brescher. I'm very proud, as a lifelong Edison resident, that we have. I'll talk about that later. It's not. Is this for Neville Aristani? I'm not yielding my time, so.
At 4 minutes and 15 seconds, do as you choose. You have 6 minutes.
Is this from Neville Aristani? That's my question. I'm asking a question.
At the end of your,
You are the government. I'm
at the end of your
expecting an
questions,
answer.
I just said to you, at the end of your questions,
No,
I'll answer all your questions.
You were interrupting me yesterday. You were so gladly to interrupt me yesterday during my time to speak. So I'm going to ask you right now, is this for Neville Aristani, this license right here? Are we rewarding one of the allies of the racist flyers? Which Joyce claims that she's against, but she's going to vote for him today to get his cannabis license. Hypocrisy. Is this for Neville Aristani? Why do we have why are we making any new committees? Resolution for Smart City Advisory Committee. You refuse to put Councilman Brescher on any committees. The most qualified person. He's always the smartest guy in the room. It seems rather political what's going on. The only people that you guys listen to is only one man, the mayor, Mayor Sam Joshi. You take orders from that person. So what's the point on voting for a resolution to take advice from an advisory committee? You know you're not going to take advice from them. So I'd go back to my last question for, is the cannabis license for Neville Aristani? Are we rewarding people?
To answer your question, Christo, it's the Herbal Leaf LLC.
Is that owned by Neville Aristani?
It's Herbal Leaf LLC. That's what we have written on the resolution. Thank you. Any other speakers for the resolutions only? Mr. Diamond?
I guess it's been a while since you passed the different type of licenses for the Bruce Diamond Calvert, for the different
You
type
recognize you have the floor.
of pot licenses. What exactly is a Category 5 license? That's the last resolution?
Council President.
I'm just going to wait to the, if you don't mind, please, I'll wait to the end of all your questions. You stay up, no, stay up here. If that's your only question, I'll answer it. but-
That's my only question.
Okay,
What kind of
sure.
license?
The attorney?
So there are 6 licenses that are authorized by the state of New Jersey. The Category 5 license is a retail sales license, and the resolution is for them to make an application to the Cannabis Commission to get that license.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Diamond. Any other comments? Ms. Walkie? On the resolutions only.
Lois Wolke, Peak Road.
Yes, you recognize you have the floor.
I had a question about 497 also, about the Class 5 cannabis retail license. Is there a specific area within the town that they could operate? Do we know where they're going to operate?
Yes, well, the specifics of the area is no different than was on the original resolution, which is the permitted area of southeast of Woodbridge Avenue between Amboy Avenue and Mill Road, except for areas zoned for any class of residential use within 1,000 feet of any area zoned for any other class of residential use, otherwise restricted in ordinance 2112, 2021.
Okay, I thought.
Nothing's changed from the original.
I thought a while ago when we spoke about it, there were certain zones where they would.
This is the zones. They have to be in that area.
Okay.
It's not going to be on Route 27 in a strip mall. It's going to be in these zones here.
Okay, thank you.
I'll give you the ordinance number to look up later if you want it. Any other questions or comments on the resolutions only? Seeing none, can I have a motion to close the public portion for resolutions?
Motion to close the public portion.
Councilman Patil and Councilman Patel. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Public portion, any nays? The public portion is closed. Number 10, the proposed resolutions. Anyone would like to pull anything for a separate vote, or council members?
Council President,
Yes.
497.
Council President,
Yes.
495, 477, 451, and 452.
451
Yes,
and 452.
correct.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve? 497, 495, 477, 451, and 452.
497, 495, and what was the other four one? What?
Just to clarify.
477, I missed.
477.
Okay, and this is 450.
Any other council members want to pull any resolutions for a separate vote?
Let me just make sure I got them. Okay, Councilman Brescher, 451, 452, 477, and 495. Correct. Okay, and then 497 was by Joey. Okay, so,
Okay. Can I motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of 497, 495, 477, 451, and 452?
Motion to approve.
Councilmember Harris, can I have a second?
Second.
Councilman George Ship Freeman. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Brescher,
Yes,
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Patel,
Yes.
Councilmember Patil,
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer,
Yes.
Councilmember Ship Freeman,
Yes.
Council President Coyle.
Yes. When you're ready.
451, 452. And you got my last one, right? Yep. 497. Four 451 is the first one. Two. Councilor Brescher pulled it, so he
451, Councilman Brescher.
yes, I have a question for the attorney. We received the memorandum agreement, I guess all the council people received it now, so we got to read what it was. I noticed that a lot of things were taken care of as far as cross-referencing, our union employees, considering they do the same jobs as these union employees. And that was great. But one last question. If the township decides to redo the bathrooms and hire a contractor, are they now required to be only union contractors? Because I didn't see anything in the memorandum agreement that would separate that from like the district council's contract that they give us.
So that would be a decision that would be based upon the existing collective bargaining agreements with your current unions, and based upon these memorandums of agreement, you would have available to you temporary employees, which would be hired if there was no coverage under your existing collective bargaining agreements.
No, okay, let me rephrase the question. The bathrooms, the administration decides that they do not want to hire the union to do the work and have the township build it because they don't have enough supervisors or whatever else that might be. Can they go out and bid it prevailing wage like we can do today? Or will they have to change their bidding process to only hire union labor? That's my question.
So the answer to your question is it depends on the existing collective bargaining agreements. I do not believe, and I have not reviewed all of your collective bargaining agreements, but I do not believe that it would require a separate bidding process. The choice of how to accomplish municipal projects is an administrative choice within the confines of your existing collective bargaining agreements, and the proposed resolutions, number 451 and 452, would give the administration the ability to use these union laborers for the types of jobs that they were qualified for,
No,
if that made the most economic sense. And that's the best answer I can give you.
Okay, I'm asking a question, and you refer to the township collective bargaining agreement. I fully understand that you have not read them. The township currently can bid union or non-union. Prevailing wage is what's required by law. And we do that here. So we have contractors here that are paying prevailing wage, but they're not necessarily union. But in this contract here, they have a clause in here that says subcontractor clause. The employer shall not subcontract any work within the jurisdiction of the union, which is to be performed at the job site, except to a contractor who holds an agreement with these said unions. So which means we could no longer bid prevailing wage. And that's how I'm reading this, that we can no longer bid jobs prevailing wage. And if you're going to tell me that we can definitely bid prevailing wage and we will not be sued, then I feel comfortable. If not, then I think the council should talk about it, because maybe we want to do all union work here. But that was a discussion that, the council administration, we never had.
Sonia, do you want to jump in on a comment before the attorney closes up?
Sure, I'll just echo in the same sentiments as the attorney, and basically it's administration's, including our engineering team, to go out to bid, and there is the prevailing wage process. The MOUs that are before you, the resolutions 451 and 452, that's for temporary work with these outside labor unions.
Right, so we could still build prevailing wage, and we will not have litigation from the unions to sue us because of this agreement that says that everybody that we subcontract to, we have to be paying, well, they have to all belong to the same union, right? We won't be sued by it's a very simple question. If you bid prevailing wage, can we be sued by these unions?
I'll answer it this way. You might not like it, but I'll answer it this way. You can be sued, but you will not be sued successfully.
You can be sued for anything.
Correct.
Okay, so we won't be sued. We won't be sued successfully.
That's correct.
Very good.
Thank you.
That was a simple answer. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Brescher.
You can combine them if you'd like.
Okay, so 452, so we're going to vote, unless a council member disagrees, we're going to vote together for 451 and 452. While this is open for a separate vote, are there any other council comments?
Council President, I read through all the
Council
MOUs.
Member Joyce Freeman, you recognize, you have the floor.
This time I read through all the MOUs, and I read through all the information, and I also sat down with some union people, and I also sat down with our BA, and at this time I feel comfortable voting on this, so I won't be redundant to say the same thing over and over again.
Thank you, council member. Any other questions or comments from council members? Okay, hearing none, can I have a motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
Councilman Patel, can I have a second?
Second.
Second, Councilman Patel. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Brescher?
Yes.
Councilmember Harris?
Yes.
Councilmember Patel?
Yes.
Councilmember Patil?
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer?
Yes.
Councilmember Ship Freeman?
Yes.
Council President Coyle?
Yes.
It's 477.
477, that's also Rich.
Rich also pulled that.
Councilmember Brescher, 477.
Yes. The question came up was in the repairs, whether we were just putting the tape over the top of it and then kind of painting it, as opposed to doing new. And I got your email, so you are doing some new courts, correct? And the new product is guaranteed for 2 years against any type of cracking.
It is, yes.
Okay. That's it, Councilman.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
Have a second? Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Brescher.
Yes.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Patel.
Yes.
Councilmember Patil.
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Ship Freeman.
Yes.
Council President Coyle.
Yes.
Already got him.
495.
Now we're at 495. Who pulled that one? Rich also.
Rich also. Rich, 495.
All right, 495. Can somebody explain what this is? Because when in
Council.
reading it,
Yeah, Councilman Brescher, I don't know, your microphone doesn't pick up well. Could you
we're-
try
We're going to need to buy new
getting closer to it,
microphones.
see if that helps?
If I do, it's going in my mouth. You actually have eyes, right? Everybody has eyes. You see where it is. Are you kidding me?
Well, listen, I'm just asking. You don't have to listen to me. There's another 7 inches between you listen to
Really? I don't know. It's actually so
I
blurry,
thought you could
can't
sing
even
a song
see it.
for us.
Why don't you give me a hand mic? You know what I mean?
That I can't do, but I'm just making you aware of that. People can't hear that well. Okay, 495.
Council President, is this your council chamber?
Yes.
And make sure your equipment works before I get here.
Okay,
please.
I'll work on
Thank
that
you.
right away.
All right, 495. You know what? There was some verbiage in there that led me to believe that this is leading us towards like an urban type of environment. And to me, I guess that's like a direction that I'm looking for us to stay like a town.
Council President, can I just address this?
Do you mind if Councilman Pointer
Absolutely.
can comments? Yes, Councilman, you recognize you have the floor, Councilman Pointer.
Thank you, Council President. And sorry if I sound like the teacher from the Peanuts cartoons. I drafted this resolution, and the thought behind smart city applications are that it's the implementation and utilization of technology and how technology is used within a municipality. I actually have to give Councilman Patil a lot of credit for this because I think it was 2018 when he was the council president, he had set up the Net Zero Subcommittee and the E-Governance Subcommittee, which this kind of ties into. The idea with this is to formulate research to provide to the council and to the administration for when the master plan hopefully gets passed, so that recommendations on ordinance changes, actions that can be taken, can be implemented. So as an example, if we wanted to, and this is very specific, so just please understand that, you can set up guidelines, for instance, that the lights in the municipal complex in the parking lot, instead of being timer-based or based on when the sun sets, is GPS situated, right? What that would allow is a more precise time of when lights go on and lights go off. You can also set up technology so that at higher traffic times, or at least lower traffic times, that the lights would go on and then be controlled by motion sensor. The idea being that energy would be conserved in the long run. That's one specific technological example of what I would hope the subcommittee could recommend for the township to consider. Is not to make it more, I guess, industrial or urban in the sense of like city-like. It's really more to see if we are utilizing technology in the proper manner to improve the government services that we provide, as well as increase the, or improve the quality of life that the residents have within the township. That's the main focus of it.
Okay, thank you, Councilman.
Thank you.
Any
Council
other
President.
questions or comments on 497?
Council President,
Yes, Councilman Patil?
and thank you, and I fully support this Smart City Advisory Committee.
495, I'm sorry.
spoken to Councilman Pointer. It's a great idea. We have so many resources, talented people in Edison who can contribute towards how do we repurpose some of the resources. And Councilman Pointer gave a few examples. That extends towards even the EV charging stations. They could be installed throughout the town. Again, this is making town more efficient, and that's where the word "the smart" is, so that we can utilize those resources to improve the quality of life of the residents. Again, thank you, Council President.
No, thank you, Councilman Patil.
Council President?
Yes.
Can I just add one more comment? The reason why I asked for this now is because I spoke with the administration if this was going to be a concept that is figured to be in the master plan. So the hope is that some of the preliminary research can be done now so that when the master plan is passed, instead of that research being happening once the master plan takes into effect, that we'll already have the info ready so that we can make action on a more expeditious or expeditious, sorry if I'm messing up the terminology, but route. So that's why I was trying to do this now versus at a future date. Thank you, Council President.
Any other council comments? Hearing none, have a motion to adopt 495.
Motion to adopt.
Councilman Harris, have a second?
Second.
Which second was that? Councilman John Pointer. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Brescher.
Yes.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Patel.
Yes.
Councilmember Patil.
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Ship Freeman.
Yes.
Council President Coyle.
Yes. 497, Council Vice President Troy Ship.
Yes, I just pulled this because, not to say anything that's completely wrong, when I'm just not in the full understanding of it, and I spoke to some other people about social justice aspects of it and a host of other things that I'm still in the, still trying to process. So it's not that I'm totally against it, it's just that I'm not there yet at all. That's the only reason why I wanted to pull it off.
Okay. Any other council comments? 497. No, she's, no. Okay. Can I have a motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
Councilman Harris, can I have a second?
Seconded.
Second from Councilman Patil. Madam Clerk, roll call.
Councilmember Brescher.
Yes.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Patel.
Yes.
Councilmember Patil.
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Ship Freeman.
Abstaining.
Council President Coyle.
Yes.
All right, that's done.
This is going way too fast. I shouldn't say that. Oral petition remarks, now open to the public. Jerry Shine. Let's come up.
Good evening, everybody. Jerry Shine, 18 Winthrop Road, Edison. I'm here tonight in support of Mark and Lisa. I really want to talk to you about the Amazon warehouse. Lisa and Mark were nice enough to add me to the email list. I know Councilman Pointer and AJ and a couple other are on that list. I actually grew up on Caldwell Road, right off of Alcourt there. My mother's backyard is literally 30 feet away from the sound barrier. And she's been living there since 1959. And I'm just very upset about the residents have to complain about their bad neighbors that live behind their houses. I actually want to compliment Mark and Lisa for actually coming up here as concerned residents to bring up this subject to you. But there's only so much that residents can do. I mean, we really need our elected officials to step up for the concerned residents. Granted, I don't live in that area, but I grew up, my first 25 years of my life was on Caldwell Road. And these concerned residents really need the help of the council. I understand that John and a couple other council members walked Alcourt Road. That's not enough. We need the council to get to the planning board and revisit the ordinances that are, especially for the sound and the work hours. I mean, I received the email this morning. I mean, John received it. She had to call the police department at 11 o'clock at night about having garbage removed from the building. That's unacceptable. It really is unacceptable. And as a council, I mean, I really urge you guys to really get with the planning board. See what you guys can do for the residents. I mean, you got two roads there. The houses that neighbor the property. I know my mother was concerned about the lighting a few years back, and they built the wall barrier higher so the light wouldn't be constantly shining in her windows at all hours of the day. But it's very concerning that that the council, we really need you guys to step up. I mean, really need you guys to step up and help these people out, because I mean, Mark and Lisa can't do it by themselves, and I know there's other residents that live in Caldwell that don't want to come up here because they think they're just a waste of time for them to come here and speak to you guys. I mean, I live on Winthrop Road. I'm right across the street from here, and that's the only reason why I came to support Mark and Lisa, because it just concerned residents in that area that think their voice is not going to be heard.
Mr. Shine, if I can interrupt, we did, reinstitute the committee for the noise for Amazon. We nominated Rich Brescher to chair that with Councilman Patil, and we'll have a third member on it as well. I mean, this council and the council before, I mean, we had a $3 million wall put up. It didn't work, but you can't say that effort wasn't there. I mean, we're hearing new complaints that are consistent for a while through the BA. We're making a request to the chief to have it monitored, and I think this committee will also put their foot down as well. So if you can give us a couple of weeks to see what the committee can do, and I'll certainly revisit it with you off the record and at the microphone.
Yeah. In all due respect, Council President, that's a sound. It's the trucks picking up garbage at 11 o'clock at night. That's unacceptable, especially when you got people that live within 30 feet of that wall. I just wish as a council that you would, if you could, get with the planning board and just revisit the ordinances, because I know there's ordinances there for sound and hours that they actually can work, have trucks going in and out of that place. And finding them, the health department finding them isn't helping, because they're $1 billion company, and $100 here and $100 there and $200 here and $500 there is not going to stop them from doing what they're doing. And it's not acceptable as a taxpayer that you have to wake up in the middle of the night because you got a dump truck dumping garbage. Okay, please revisit it. Get with the planning board. Revisit the ordinances. That's all I'm asking for. Thank you.
Council
Thank
President?
you. Yes, Councilman Brescher.
Yeah, just to let the residents know, we do have a noise ordinance, and we were successful at Able Trucking to enforce that noise ordinance. In speaking to some of the residents there, it's not the loading or unloading, but some of the other aspects that they have. I know quite a bit about sound. I wasn't part of that original committee. So we're going to planning to find out what type of wall they built. And I'll tell you why. If they just built a concrete wall, what happens is if the concrete wall is not high enough, sound travels in waves. It does not travel in a straight line, so it travels over the top of the wall. The sound that does hit the wall reverberates back, hits the building, which is probably a solid building, to then bounce it back over the top of the wall, which could actually make the noise worse. There are different types of sound walls, and I'm very well versed in acoustics. I could tell you that. I built sound studios. So we need to get from our planning board what was approved, and if they hired like an acoustical engineer, because from what I'm hearing, it sounds like they didn't. It sounds like they just hired like a regular engineer, and he gave his best. They put him on highway, so they must work. So I think we'll come to some kind of conclusion here.
I'm sorry, Mr. Brescher, we have an emergency at the same time we're going over. I apologize. But I was listening to you.
I'm done, Council President.
I'm always listening to you. Okay,
Council
we have,
President, can I just make a
council
comment
members?
at the end of the public comment?
Okay, council members, I have to interrupt this meeting and close the public portion temporarily. We have an emergency for a resolution that had to be added, which has to be broken into this meeting. It's an emergency. B, do you want to quickly brief us for the emergency that we have?
Sure, and I apologize to the rest of the council members and the public. We are trying to complete the renovations over at the senior building, specifically with the bathrooms. Our contractor, once he went into the bathrooms, he found that our suppression system was faulty. And there's no way we can proceed with the remaining of the renovations without fixing the fire suppression, make sure to bring it up to code. So that is the emergency that I respectfully asked to have walked on this evening.
Do you want to discuss the amount?
It's $115,000. Again, it's for the entire building, and I can certainly provide to you this evening the backup paperwork, but then,
Does the Edison Senior Center on Woodbridge Avenue?
yes.
Yeah, it's the only one we got so far.
Yeah, Council President, can I?
We can have council comments.
okay.
I just have to open it. I have to just go through a process to open it. We'll have council comments. We'll have to open up to the public. This will be an entire full process of one resolution.
Correct. No, before you add that resolution, if the amount is the ballpark, I would say raise the amount because we don't want to come back. It's an emergency. So keep some cushion and put that not to exceed. So that would help the council to.
But before I answer that question, I actually have our Public Works Director here to answer any follow-up questions that the council may have.
Okay. Let me just brief with our attorney real quick on just the process.
Just put something on the record and we'll back in. Keep going? Or you want me to-
So,
Yeah, I'll do this. So, with your permission, Council President, so the proposed resolution, which we will ratify if adopted and formalize into a formal resolution, would be to authorize the installation of a fire suppression system through Allied Fire and Safety Equipment Company at the senior center, which would include all of the necessary equipment, manpower, and labor in order to bring that building up to code as far as fire suppression. The amount of the resolution is, I believe I heard $115,000, and that was received very recently and is an emergency if you want to move forward with the rest of the renovations and getting the senior center up to code so that it can get back online.
Okay, it was suggested that we.
Councilwoman Shipp, Freeman, we're not going to have council comments at this second, but we're going to go through a process.
I
And
know
you can have
that
council
before he
comments.
does that, it's just something I want to add before he does that, if it can be
Okay.
added before he
You
does that.
can add that in your council comments, I believe, correct?
before you
Let me
okay it-
talk to the council.
Okay.
What do you want to add?
No, it was agreed that they said it should not exceed 150. What was it?
Not exceed 120.
They wanted to not exceed 120.
So that resolution, although the estimate is for approximately 115,000, the proposal is that the resolution authorize an amount not to exceed $120,000. What that means is that you can't spend more than that without coming back to the governing body for additional authorization, if necessary, to exceed that by change order. So I think that that's an appropriate amendment. It's not even an amendment. It's appropriate that it be included in the resolution, which we'll put together for you. And that would be Resolution 498.
So,
One to add.
Okay, so we need two votes. So one to add this to the agenda, it'll be number 498072022. That would be the first one.
so we're going to have a motion to add this resolution to the agenda.
Council President,
Yes.
considering the emergency, I would like to move the motion to add resolution 498-072022 on the agenda.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilmember Brescher.
Yes.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Patel.
Yes.
Councilmember Patil.
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Ship Freeman.
Yes.
Council President Coyle.
Yes.
Now would be a vote on the contract not to exceed $120,000 with Allied Fire. I don't know, do you have to open public comment for, it's an emergency.
Council
Want to open
President,
up the public comment?
We're going to open up the, we're going to open up the
Public comments.
public for the resolution only, for this resolution for the emergency. Anyone from the public would like to speak on this emergency resolution? Mr. Massaro.
My name is Tony Massaro. I'm at 86 Laurel Hollow Court in Edison. And in a previous lifetime, add-ons such as this, hours before a Board of Education meeting or a council meeting, would cause me to lose whatever hair I had left. What is the current bid threshold now? Well, obviously, that's redundant. Anybody tell me what the bid threshold is?
$44,000 if you have a qualified purchasing agent.
Okay. So this is in excess of the bid threshold.
It's part of the existing contract, I believe. It just is an add-on to the existing contract.
So as a
with the
freestanding
contract.
item, it exceeds the bid threshold. At any rate, when was this emergency noted? My understanding of an emergency is something that comes up that was unforeseen, that you have a responsibility to attend to. Did it come up this evening, 10 minutes ago, yesterday? When did that happen?
The letter's dated July 21st.
July 21st.
What I have in front of me is an estimate, or it's a survey from Fire Safety, Allied Fire Safety, July 21st.
So I'm not suggesting we should subject people to a situation that is not safe. But if the emergency occurred on July 21st, and today is not July 21st, and it is in excess of the bid threshold, I got to suggest that while we don't want people to be unsafe, you also don't want to be regarded as a candy store where people are coming in asking you for amounts of money that aren't quite small. That's all I have to say. Something for you to think about.
Council President,
Yes, Councilman Patel. Patil.
just to, even though it was brought to the 21st of July or whenever it is, ideally it could have been on agenda. You're right, it could have been on agenda on Monday, and it didn't make. That's why we are talking about this. But if you look at now, if it is an emergency, this council will be meeting probably another 3 weeks.
Right.
So there is, again, the time lost there. I hear you loud and clear that this shouldn't be an emergency, it should have been on Mondays, but again, we missed it. But just to make sure that they have the fund in time to mitigate the situation, not to wait for 3 weeks before it goes in effect, that's the reason we are supporting.
I'm mindful of that, because the next round of council meetings is a ways from now.
Correct.
There will be nothing to prevent you from having a special council meeting either. I know there'd be extra time for public servants, but just keep those things in mind. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you, Councilman. Any other comments from the public? Yes.
Ellen Arthur, 155 Michelle Circle, Edison. What is the projected timeline now for the completion for this project?
Do you, Ray, Sonia, do you want to answer this, or does Ray want to come up and answer this?
We're looking at maybe a week, just to get it all finished, and I'm talking about with the bathrooms
The completion.
of the project itself in its totality.
2 weeks.
In another few weeks?
What I'm saying is with the suppression, once that's done, the bathrooms should really just be finalized. So I would say in the next couple weeks or so, you're having the whole project itself done.
Okay. That particular aspect of the completion of renovating this whole senior citizen building.
Correct.
Okay, and will probably be anticipated, ready for operation when?
Shortly thereafter. Once we can get the suppression in, we can have people in there.
Could we get a printout of this? Like, can you more than go print it, give it to the council? Sonia, could you email that so we can get a copy of that? I think we'll be here for a little bit longer. And Marlene can print it and give a copy to the council.
Email it to clerk.
Email to clerk, please. Any other members of the public? Yes, Ms. Conway?
Elizabeth Conway, 20 Netherwood Circle.
Yes, you recognize you have the floor.
Thank you. I'm actually very disturbed by what just took place. I saw a conversation going on. I was told it was an emergency, so it was something that happened at 4 o'clock this afternoon, and it's a very important adjustment that needs to be made. But when I'm hearing that you had a letter dated July 21st, that's not an emergency. Something happened between the 21st and today's the 27th. So not only did it miss your Monday meeting, it still didn't make today's meeting until the last hour. And I implore you to make sure that this is not a common occurrence, because we're talking about $115,000 to $120,000. And I'm very disturbed by the time frame that this took place, and I would ask the council to ensure that this does not happen again, and the people in the workings make sure that this is done in a more timely fashion. Thank you.
Ms. Conway, I'm not happy with the date or the time, but I will say I don't have clarification how this was received by mail. The 21st was a Thursday. The 27th is obviously today. So the weekend was in between. I'm not happy either way, and I know exactly what you're saying. But it was mailed. We got it probably on the 25th. But that communication is still open, and it's disturbing. And I'm sorry, I'm not looking for you to comment from the audience. I just made a comment back to you to answer.
then I need to add that we don't use snail mail to pass on an emergency. We're talking smart city, we're talking email, we're talking texts, we're talking phone calls. Not putting something in the mail last week and not getting it until Monday. That's just unacceptable. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Conway. Anybody of the members of the public that would like to speak on this emergency resolution? Seeing Mr. Christo.
Can you please repeat the emergency resolution?
What number was it? 498?
It's 498.
49807 2022.
Can you repeat it for me?
Okay, Madam Clerk?
Oh, it's a resolution authorizing Allied Fire to fix the suppression system in an amount not to exceed $120,000. That's for the senior center.
All right, I'm against doing everything. Emergency. It should have been in the resolution. It should have been on the agenda. And that's all I have to say. Everything that you guys have been doing recently is you're doing funny business all the time. I only trust what Brescia does. But
Thank you. Any other members of the public? Can motion to close the public portion?
Motion move to close the public portion.
Thank you. All in favor say,
Aye.
Yes.
That was only on this resolution.
yeah, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carries to close the public portion. I just, Madam Clerk, I'm gonna just call for a quick 3-minute recess to make sure that all the members of the council get a copy of this.
I think she's getting it right back, right? Oh, it's not working.
Can I have a motion for a recess? Can I have a motion to recess?
Motion moved for the recess.
Can I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? We have a 3-minute recess.
Yeah,
So, next Thursday at noon,
yeah, that sounds good.
I gotta stay somewhere close by.
It's important.
You start walking, it's printed. Now you can just do 7. Just throw it in the thing. I'm right behind you.
Here for August 4th. You going to National Night Out on Tuesday?
Cheryl,
Quite
it's a
possibly.
memo and then a 3-page.
If I get my-
So it's 4 total.
It's like tonight. I'm trying to move this meeting along. My grandson's over.
Have a motion to reconvene this meeting.
Motion to reconvene?
Have a second?
Second.
Okay, after further consideration as council president, I'm not holding this resolution for a vote. I'm pulling it from the agenda. We're going to open up for public comments. We're not going to be voting on this emergency. We're not going to vote on it.
No.
It can wait for the next meeting.
Well, so now we need a motion to table because we already have a motion to put it on the agenda.
Motion to table.
Motion to table. Have a second?
Seconded.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays?
No, I'd have to.
Oh, we're doing roll call.
Councilmember Brescher.
Yes.
Councilmember Harris.
Yes.
Councilmember Patel.
Yes.
Councilmember Patil.
Yes.
Councilmember Pointer.
Yes.
Councilmember Ship Freeman.
Yes.
Council President Coyle.
Yes. We are going to reopen the public comments. I do apologize for that recess. There is an emergency, and I'm making the decision that we will be fine to be here in 2 weeks. I'm not going to vote on a contract without a bid, without a process, and I'm not going to let this council go through that. I think there is a fair fault in this, but it's unfortunate. We have to just go with our faults and move forward. I'm not putting blame on anyone, but this is not how our council is going to operate today. Open for public comments. We have the list. We have the list here. Lowe's Tar was next.
Lois Tar, 52 Reader Road, Edison. I didn't have the opportunity to attend Monday night's meeting. I watched it on YouTube, but I was present at the June 29th meeting. And frankly, I was appalled and offended by what I saw. Like most Edison residents, I expect a certain level of performance from my council members. I watched Councilman Brescher admonish his fellow council members to do their job. This was not done from the dais, but from the audience at the end of a meeting that he chose not to attend as a council member. Councilmember Brescher, your remarks rang hollow in the face of your hypocrisy. How can you insinuate, Councilman Brescher, that other council members are not doing their jobs after you purposely missed 2 consecutive combined meetings? You violated the public trust and highlighted your own dereliction of duty. Councilman Brescher, you like to portray yourself as a guardian of the public purse strings. You ask endless questions at every council meeting that could better be answered on your own time, as you did tonight again, by calling the BA or the administration. Instead, you self-aggrandize, pontificate, all with the design of bringing attention to yourself. Sanctimonious questions of every penny spent, every contract awarded is hollow rhetoric, when failing to live up to the very cost-conscious values and standards that you present. Any employee who failed to do his job and rather stood outside his place of employment to call out criticisms of his fellow employees would be docked a day's pay at least and terminated at worst. Council members in Edison are paid $12,000 a year to sit before us on the dais, answer our questions, take official votes on public matters and expenditures, and help guide the township forward. They're not paid to purposely miss multiple council meetings, showing up at the end of a meeting and grandstanding from the audience. So I say to you, Councilman Brescher, since you're paid $12,000 a year to sit on a city council and you missed at least 1 month's worth of work, maybe you should take a month's salary and give it back to the purse strings of the town. Councilman Brescher, sit on the dais, do your job, or resign.
Council President?
Yes, Councilman Brescher.
I recognize the political figures in the audience, and I do appreciate the idea to come up here because you're upset because I don't go along with the mayor's total plan, and I do ask questions. I do have frustrations with my council colleagues. The reason that I didn't come was we spent an inordinate amount of time talking about 5 minutes, 6 minutes, whatever it was, 1 minute we're talking about. Yet we consistently have these same combined meetings. And the combined meetings short the public out of 9 minutes. They cause a lot of chaos because we can't get answers. So I go to these meetings, I can't get answers from the BA or the administration. They don't know, but yet I have to vote on them. We have had these union contracts that we talked about. They came up here, the first one we voted on, and nobody actually had a copy of a memorandum agreement. Nobody had a copy of a contract. And, you know, yes, it becomes frustrating when I just see my council colleagues and they vote for it. And I've spoken to them, and some of them have said, you know, I trust the lawyer, I trust the administration. I come here not trusting them. I believe my job here is to question them. And, you know, if you're offended because I'm questioning the politicians that you like, I'm sorry, but that's what I feel I'm here to do, Ms. Tarr. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Brescher. Next from the public we have is Walter Stoschel.
Thank you, Council President. To the council, I have a letter.
Your name and address?
Oh, yeah, forgot. It's been a while since I've been here. Walt Stoschel, 2118 Oak Tree Road. I have a letter to the council.
Recognize and you have the floor.
Dear council members, in 2019, the voters of Edison voted against the proposal to lease our water system to Suez. This resulted in the creation of the Edison Water Utility in 2020. In 2020, the Edison Water Utility began parking their vehicles and equipment on land across from the municipal building. This has grown into an unsightly collection of materials, pipes, debris, cargo containers, and parking for the workers and equipment. That property is part of Papiani Park. It is Block 104V, Lot 16. The park is listed on the 2007 Edison Township Recreation and Open Space Inventory, which is on file with Green Acres. All lands listed on the Rossi by the municipality are to be used for recreational or conservation purposes only. Clearly, the use of this property by the Edison Water Utility is a violation of this restriction. The park was also built using Green Acres funding, and there are additional restrictions to the use of the park based on that. In 1971, the township acquired the land for the park from the Interior Department Federal Lands to Park program. When it gave the township the land, the federal government included a condition that the property be used for public park or public recreation in perpetuity. This is a Middlesex County Deed Book, page 2753, page 136. If the township breaches that restriction, the deed contains a reverter clause on page 142. The township also had to file a program of utilization explaining what was to be built in the park, and that has to be updated every time new facilities are added to the park. By placing the Edison Water Utility items in the park, it violates the federal deed restriction and the program of utilization. Don't think that is not important. In the 1980s, the township built an animal shelter in the park. The Interior Department and Green Acres made Edison subdivide the animal shelter off the park, acquire additional parkland next to the park, and pay the federal government for the property where the animal shelter is. This took over 5 years, and at that time, we were not eligible for Green Acres funding. I have enclosed a map of the park from the Rossi and aerial photos showing the boundary of the park. You will see that the municipal boulevard separates the park from the municipal complex. In 2019, those who said we could do the water utility in-house never said that they would do it in the park. It's time the Edison Water Utility remove their unsightly mess from the park and restore the land. Thank you. And I have a copy of the letter here for you.
Thank you. Thank you, Walter Stoschel, for the work you put behind so many good things.
Council President,
Yes. Yeah, you recognize you have the floor.
Just as a general question, doesn't have to be answered now, but to Mr. Stolschel's comments, does the property at 54 Ethel that we did the ordinance on earlier help address this issue? Just as a general question, doesn't have to be answered now.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we can direct that to Sonia later for an answer. Do you want to answer it now or do you?
I'll have to get back to you on that.
Okay.
Thank you, Council President.
Let's go through the list here. Bruce Diamond is next.
Diamond, Calvert, Edison.
You recognize you have the floor.
I have a question for the business administrator. Was 2147 the same ordinance that Mr. Brescher wanted additional information on prior to voting on being able to vote positively to pass that? And if it was, I'm curious what that additional information given to him made him so comfortable to vote for the ordinance.
Repeat your question again.
2147, was
bond-
that
the
not
bond
the
ordinance.
ordinance Councilman Brescher objected to Monday night because he didn't have enough information? And if that was, what additional information did the business administrator provide him with? I'm curious to know that made him feel comfortable to vote favorably for the ordinance.
Council,
And yeah, Councilman Brescher, you're welcome to answer that if you'd like.
what do you want to, do they have to ask
I
all
mean,
their questions
you don't have to
first?
answer the question if you don't want to.
My question was to the business administrator, not to Mr. Brescher.
Okay. Sonia, were there some correspondence that you had that you satisfied Mr. Brescher's answers?
As far as I answered the question on Monday was with regard to what was provided previously. I thought that was really it.
Yeah. I
Okay.
think there was a gap between some unused funds for paving.
Well, instead of coming up for a rebuttal, I'll come up with the follow-up to this. Mr. Brescher portrays himself as the savior of all of us poor residents. And he objects to Mrs. Tarr coming up here and claims she's a political operative representing the party and the people she likes. Yet Mr. Brescher has continued for a year at least being a pain in the butt, causing issues on every single thing like he's the savior. He's not the smartest guy up there. Y'all are as smart as he is. And none of you are lawyers. And if you're comfortable when the lawyer tells you that something's okay to vote for because you're being protected, I would tend to think that's enough. I just don't understand how this holier-than-thou attitude he keeps playing up every meeting does any good for the residents. It does good for his forces that work against the success of the administration, and we're all tired of it as residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Diamond.
Council President?
Yes.
Yeah.
Councilman Brescher.
Right. What happened at the prior meeting was I asked about the paving because I was concerned that we had money that was bonded, it was put aside for paving, and we still didn't have the roads that were listed. The problem with a bond like this is that there's $2 million of additional paving that I really wish the administration would take off. I don't want to vote for the paving, but I do want to vote for the building that was on there that was $5 million. So regrettably, sometimes I have to vote for things because it's for the better good. As far as you thinking I'm holier than thou, thank you.
Please, we can't speak from the audience. Councilman Brescher, thank you very much. You're done?
Thank you.
Okay. We have Lisa Buczewski. Lisa.
Mark Bukachevsky, 11 Outcalt Road, Edison, New Jersey. Good evening, council members. I would like to start off by thanking Mr. Jerry Shine for his comments as he outlined what he perceived to be the situation on Outcalt, Caldwell, and Elizabeth Court. I only met Mr. Shine for the first time on Monday night, and it seems to me he very succinctly, in a very short amount of time, grasped what Lisa and I have tried to accomplish on behalf of the residents of those 3 roads and anyone else in 6 years. Much to my own surprise, this gentleman doesn't even live close enough, I don't think, to hear the noise that Amazon makes, yet he feels that the quality of life has been impacted for us. So much so that he stood up and said very positive things. And I thank him for that. And the citizens of Alcoll Road, Caldwell, and Elizabeth Court should thank him for that as well. Also, what amazed me about Mr. Shine was the fact that he was able to stand up and make comments that Lisa and I have trouble motivating the actual residents on Alcoll Road who are most affected and whose quality of life is most affected at night. For instance, last evening, I was already half asleep, and Lisa burst into the home and woke me up. He says, "Mark, come outside, help me." I said, "What's the matter? What's the matter?" I was already nervous. She brings me outside. She says, "What is that noise?" And it was the corrugated truck who, it was already after 11 p.m. Am I correct on that? It was after 11 p.m. So that's well past the 10 p.m. noise ordinance, to my understanding. That corrugated truck was slamming and dropping its container, beeping, and she wasn't sure. So me in a daze, I walked outside and I said, "Yes, I believe that's the corrugated truck." And Lisa called the police. And I don't want to come across as that Lisa and I, that is, the only people, but it seems that we are the only people. And that is because, also in support of Mr. Pointer's resolution about smart city, I used technology to measure. And as I mentioned on Monday night, my home is 34 feet away from a 20-foot wall. Not only do I feel thankful that that wall is there, but I also echo the sentiments that Mr. Councilman Brescher said about his experience with acoustics. The wall is not as effective, I should say, as the experts who testified before its building claimed it was going to be. That's the point why we're here. And that's the point why we can't give up, because the wall, and I think Councilman Brescher said it, the waves travel from the source, bounce off of that wall, go back, and come right across, because the building is 45 feet tall and the wall is only 20 feet tall. So it reflects the waves back across. So in my estimation, maybe this will come out through some technology. The science of it seems to be different today than it was when the wall was built. And that is why we're here. I think we all can enjoy our sleep. My sleep doesn't get quite that much enjoyment when I have to be woken up. And as Mr. Shine mentioned, I've lived in this town since 1959. That's a whole different millennia. I grew up in this town. I've stayed in this town because I thought it was a terrific place to grow up. I've raised children in this town. But I really have a tough time. Yes, I should point out I am retired, so I'm around my home. I can't sit in my backyard. I have to constantly retreat indoors. I had a window project installed where I had to put in double glazed windows, thinking, well, maybe I'll hit a few decibels there. This is a serious issue. As Mr. Shine said, somewhere along the line, and I thought about it between Monday and today, and my final point would be, what changed? And no one has been able to answer this question for me. There was always a light industrial zone there since 1948, I believe. The one thing that has changed that I would like to hear an answer from is that there's now a second shift that Amazon runs. All of my life, since 1959, there was one shift, 6 p.m. They rolled down the doors, everybody went home. The residents didn't complain one bit. But now there's 2 shifts, and I still have not received an explanation of how there are 2 shifts. The overnight shift is the one that really makes it difficult in terms of quality of life. Thank you for your attention this evening.
Sonia, can we pull the resolution to see if during the planning review, it was 24 hours or if it was a limited shift for Amazon? Thank you. Next, Lisa, are you coming up? Okay.
Yep, just in different orders.
Listen, you don't have to answer it to him. I called you up, you're on the list.
It's okay.
Listen, you're out of order. I'm going to give you one warning. That's it. So you want to stay in the meeting or you want to be asked to leave? It's only fair. It's only fair. It's only fair.
Lisa Bukachevsky, 11 Alcolt Road. Mark's basically said most of it. A lot has happened since Monday's meeting alone. I had a conversation on Facebook with people, and I got responses like, well, they haven't done anything till now, or have you spoken with Amazon? Oh, that one threw me. Or have you tried to be nice to them? Anyway, we had one person ask me if there's an Amazon committee now. Can the residents or a few of the residents participate on that committee? That was one of the questions, and that's what we want to know.
I can look into that.
Okay. And then Mr. Pointer was supposed to talk on Monday on our behalf, and I was wondering if, since he wasn't here for health reasons, he could do that today.
I'm sorry, repeat the question.
Mr. Pointer was going to talk on Monday. He was going to talk about his walk around Amazon, around the warehouse.
If you want to comment now, you can. If you may want to comment at the end of the public portion, that's
fine.
I prefer that. But I know you're here and we've been listening to your issue, and it's a personal issue. If you can wait, he will comment at the end of the public portion.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Any other members of the public? Mr. Yeah, please, Mr. Yep, please come up.
Rich Sweeney, Sutton's Lane, Edison. Councilman Pointer, I wish you well and I hope you feel better. I want to thank whoever I have to thank for finally painting that building that I came here so many times about, whether it's Ray or Councilman President Joe Coyle. I'd like to speak a little bit, I'm going to talk about Amazon, but I wanted to speak about this suppression system. I believe it is an emergency. When you have a senior building, I'm very familiar with suppression systems, working with development in New Brunswick. And if you don't have a suppression system in a senior citizen building, and there's a fire, God forbid, they're not getting out. They're not getting out. And that's one way around procurement is emergency situations. And like the lawyer said, anybody could sue, but the only one that's going to make money on the suit is the lawyers. But anyway, Amazon. I feel for these people. I really do. I live on Sutton's Lane. I sat outside my house 10 minutes yesterday. 25 of those vans passed within 10 minutes. They have a sound effect. I have a breathing problem with carbon monoxide passing my front door that many times, and a shift change. I mean, the traffic on Sutton's Lane, you guys know the situation there. You know, I mean, Amazon, I don't think they have any respect for our citizens or our government. They do what they want to do, and it's not right. I mean, the stipulation with the CO was they weren't supposed to come through the residential neighborhood. They were supposed to go out to River Road left or Stelton Road right, and that was one of the stipulations in the CO. And if they don't abide by that, I don't know the penalty of violating the CO, whether you can pull it. Bozo will take you to the moon with that, but yeah, I feel for them. I really do. And not so much with sound, because I'm hard of hearing at 68 now anyway, but smell. It's quality of life. Quality of life with not only myself, my neighbors. They were all complaining to me about this. They don't come here and complain to you, but But I'm not really complaining to you. I'm just looking for something to be done, because the last time I was at the meeting and I was complaining about Amazon, that's when I found out the stipulation of the CO, that they were supposed to go left or right and not come through the residential neighborhood. You know? They
So
gas
can we
up at the
also-
raceway on 27, and then they shoot right past. I mean,
Rich,
look like
can I
it look-
interrupt you real quick?
What's that?
So, Sonia, can we also pull that resolution and check that? That warehouse is on South Street?
Sutton's Lane. Sutton's Lane.
But the warehouse is not on Sutton's Lane.
It's
on
either
South.
it's either on Joyce Kilmer
Yep,
or,
it's right here in Joyce Kilmer.
Cedar Lane.
Yeah, we'll pull the
they're the
resolution
only two
and we'll
roads that
look
go
at
that-
it.
that
If
go
they're not
that
allowed
way.
to make that, we'll ask for enforcement.
But you got to act on this suppression system. God forbid there's a fire there. You're going to have a lawsuit that may take this town bankrupt.
If we have to close the building, we'll close the building for 2 weeks. But we can't, we
Yeah,
made
but
the
then what do
decision.
these seniors do
We
that
made
can't
the
afford a
decision.
meal with this inflation and Social Security where they get $80 a month?
Listen, we no different. We had an active hurricane or a
I'm a
tornado.
stickler about this.
I'm not arguing with you.
I understand that there's no
To do
number
a
on
no
the
bid
contract.
contract for 125,000,
I know that- I
it's
know
just
this-
not good for this council. But
If
we
there's
will
no
be on it
contract,
tomorrow
how do you
morning.
know it's $125,000?
I'm not going to debate with you. I just
I'm
had the
not
contract
asking you
with.
to debate. I'm not asking
It's
you
just
to
the contract
debate. Just
was in front of
answer
me.
Council President?
Go ahead, Councilman Brusher.
Mr. Sweeney, I just received that document today. I thought it was for an Ansel system technically, but it's not. It's to replace the entire sprinkler system in the building because they said that the piping is brittle. Now, you've done sprinkler systems,
Well,
right?
I didn't do them, but I was involved with development with contractors and sprinkler guys and whatever and
Normally a
PSIs and all the other stuff that goes with it.
Right, a sprinkler system should be good for like the life of a building, basically. And they said they had sludge in it. Every sprinkler system has sludge in
Yeah,
it. You
it
know,
should be tested. It should be tested
It should be
periodically.
tested,
And I guess it hasn't been tested if there's that much mud in the system.
But I think we have a requirement here that they do have to be tested.
Well,
That
whoever was contracted tested, I would go after them.
that's where I think Joe's going, is that there's like a lot more.
I don't want to debate you, Joe.
You win all the time.
Yeah, I tried to get on the phone today with the governor, but 130 times calling him, and 20 minutes later, I never got on with him. I just want to tell him he looked good with the new hairdo. Looks presidential, you know. But Amazon. Something's got to be done with Amazon. I don't know. I don't know how to do it. The attorney probably knows better than all of us. It's really a shame. They have no respect for the citizens or the government You know, it's a shame. I'm forgetting some of the other stuff I wanted to talk about, but I'll end it there. And I just want to thank whoever I have to thank for beautifying the building by John Marshall School. Hey, you know what though? That lot on the corner of Plainfield Avenue and 27 that I came many times about in the past. They made it nice. They painted yellow. Now they made it nice. They painted it white. Is somebody occupying that building, or I'm really surprised because that's a valuable piece of real estate right there. That it's been laying. I mean, that gas station is gone, but it's been laying there for years.
Your time is up.
Uh,
Sorry.
I'm glad they brought back the 6 minutes, or my time would have been up 3 minutes ago. I'm glad that I usually don't take up 6 minutes. You know that, Joe. Councilman President, I'm sorry. I apologize. But
Your time is up.
Okay,
Your time,
thank
I'm
you.
sorry, but if
Everybody
I
have a
have to
good
make
evening,
it the same
and
for everybody.
Councilman Pointer, feel
Please
well.
sit down. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, please come up. Ms. Montgomery.
Elizabeth Conway, 20 Netherwood Circle.
You're recognized. You have the floor.
Thank you. Just a couple of things. I appreciate what you did. I know it's a hard stand that you took, considering it is sort of an emergency. But in your capacity, you need to make judgment calls. And I believe tonight was a correct judgment call, and I appreciate that. The other thing that I'll come up with month after month is the sidewalk condition on Inman Avenue, and I've spoken to Mr. Pointer about that. And I've also spoken about the tree situation in the township. I did take some pictures to see if anything can be done about that type of tree in our township. And my last item is, I don't know about you guys, but we're constantly told to conserve our energy to a certain degree. And the joke of it was, I hear that 78 degrees is an appropriate degree for the summer air conditioning, which even I don't agree to. But guys, it's freezing in here. Could you lower the air condition a little bit and we'd be conserving? Well, it is tonight. So did you change the thermometer or something? Because it's really cold, and I feel funny that I'm standing here in a winter jacket in the end of July. So if we could look into that, maybe we could save a few dollars on air conditioning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Christo?
Am I recognized?
Yes, you recognize you have the floor.
Thank you, Council President. Mayor Sam Joshi, Chief of Staff Bob Deal, promised he would not rest until he got to the bottom of the racist flyers. A few years later, he started to cover up the scandal after Sam Joshi bribed him with a $100,000 a year Chief of Staff position. Not even that, a few years before that, Councilman, through the chair to Councilman Brescher, you remember Jerry Shee coming up here with an audio recording, possibly given to him by A.J. Patil, where he was also promised the superintendent job, but was never given that. Will Councilman A.J. Patil's tenant, Cesar Suarez, testify why he mailed out the racist flyers from his P.O. box? Joyce Ship Freeman, you need to stop being a cheerleader for Sam Joshi, have some integrity. Why does she refuse to admit nobody made racist or sexist comments at the May 23rd meeting? Stop pretending to be a victim in order for the mayor to use you as an excuse to manufacture fake outrage against residents who speak out against the mayor's administration and use you as an excuse to censor the meetings. Have some integrity and say the truth, Joyce. I demand Mayor Sam Joshi resign. Sex scandal rocks Edison, New Jersey. Teacher accuses Mayor Sam Joshi of rape. I saw Councilman Patel and Margot Harris give Councilman Brescher a hard time. Councilman Patel and Sam Joshi's uncle, Bimal Joshi, is another sex predator. Deputy Chief Dudash used to report to the media that Bimal tried to fondle a woman's breasts. Fast forward years later, Deputy Chief Dudash now takes orders from the same sex predators he used to arrest. Councilman Patel, you wanted to remove the public speaking time for racist comments that were never made, yet your uncle, Bimal Joshi, is allowed to come right here to this podium, make racist comments against Pakistanis, against Muslims, say no mosques here in Edison, New Jersey. He called Muslims 9/11 supporters and jihadis live on Edison TV, and you have the nerve to talk about how we, members of the public, how we get to use up our time? Why is it okay for Councilman Patel's family to make racist comments and prey on women? Back in 2019, when Councilwoman Margot Harris was just a member of the public, I witnessed she had to be held back from almost physically assaulting BOE President Jerry Shee. She was verbally assaulting him right here in these council chambers, right in front of those doors. Feel free to deny it, but I doubt she will. Mayor Sam Joshi broke his campaign promise to support the ward system. Mayor Sam Joshi broke his campaign promise to deliver a new master plan in his first 90 days, yet he was able to give Edison, New Jersey, its first ever sex scandal in his first 6 months in office. Why does Edison refuse to investigate racist flyers against Muslims in 2019 by Sam Joshi's allies that were endorsed by BOE member Shivi Madhukar, which I mailed to the clerk? I mailed many times. They refused to even bring him up at the meeting. Margot claims to champion free speech when she publicly admitted she plans to vote in favor to reduce people's minutes on a trial basis. All of a sudden, you're the champion of free speech, Margot? John Pointer, why are you here? You have COVID. That's why you're wearing your mask, yet you still came here to put elderly people at risk. What the hell's wrong with you? You Democrats claim you want to keep people safe. You're the first people putting people in danger, just like our public safety director. Since we do have, the mayor is the public safety director, who keeps the mayor's victims safe? Who keeps the public safety director's victims safe? I'd like you to answer that. How much time do I have left, Marlena? A minute and a half. Absolutely disgusting the way Joyce, Councilman Patel, Margot, bully Councilman Brescher, who has so much integrity. Absolutely disgusting. I'm proud of you. As a lifelong Edison resident, Councilman Brescher, I'm proud of you. There are people watching you across the nation, and they're proud of you as well. They wish they had someone like Councilman Brescher in their local communities. Joyce, there's no Civil Rights Committee. You refuse to put people on the Human Relations Committee. Me and Steve Nagel put our applications in. She's ignoring that. She neglects her duty as a councilwoman. Anytime I ask her why there's no Human Relations meeting, she ignores me. Anytime I ask her who picks people's on Human Relations Committee, she lies. So I ask you this, Councilman Coyle, who picks people on the Human Relations Committee and okays that? They have to answer. You can't. This is why the public is waiting for Margot's time to be over as a councilwoman, Joyce, Patel, and also Pointer. I want to say that Brescher, at least Brescher was voted in, and he won off the party line. You guys were thrown on the party line. No one even wanted you. Your own Democratic Party doesn't even want you. The residents are sick of you people. And God bless you, Councilman Brescher. Thank you for standing up for the victim. Here in Edison, New Jersey, we will always stand up for the victims, no matter who their victimizer is. I understand people, they like to kiss up to very powerful people. Maybe they like to get some favors. But Joyce, you used to be a teacher. Bob Deal used to be a teacher. Why do they run and hide? Why don't they stand up for the victim that happens to be a teacher?
Thank you.
And did anyone make racist and sexist comments towards you?
Thank you. Time is up. Please sit down.
No, they didn't. Have some integrity.
Just to answer your question, the racist flyer, it's an ongoing investigation. The Human Relations Committee is appointed. Please.
Council President, I was talking about the human relations.
You can comment on the human relations. Go ahead.
Excuse me, but if you were here Monday, and I believe you were, I don't believe you were listening closely because I said the Human Relations Committee had a meeting already, and they're looking for new people, but they don't need people who disparage people, spend all their. There's no go back. There's no back and forth.
Listen,
There's no back and forth. Excuse me.
You bullied the rabbi.
Please.
There's no back and forth. Let me finish.
Stop. Please sit down. Officer, please have him removed. He's disturbing the meeting. Christo, please leave.
What I stated on Monday that I'm restating today.
Councilwoman, I have the floor. Christo, please leave. You can come back next time when you're not disturbing the meeting.
I'm actually going to put your name in a lawsuit.
You do as you choose. Thank you for leaving.
Yeah, may I finish saying
Yes,
about that?
you have the floor.
What was stated on Monday when the young person who said something about it, on Monday, I stated about the Human Relations Committee, and I stated that they had a meeting already, and that we're moving forward, and where more people are becoming aboard the Human Relations Committee. And our Human Relations Committee hopes to have a better dialogue, a better oversee of the community where people won't spend most of their time disparaging other people, and people will spend their time moving the government forward. That's what we need to do. We need to move everything forward. They're all the things that we have. Thank you very much.
Councilman Shipp.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Yes, Maria Orchard.
Thank you. Maria Orchid, 83 Jefferson.
You're recognized. You have the floor.
I'd like to thank all the volunteers that came out for the Environmental Commission and the community gardens. Without your help, we would not be able to do as much as we can to make the parks beautiful and the areas of the roadways a nice place, a nice community for all of the Edison residents. If you see any dumping, please contact the police so we will have a record. We've been cleaning up a lot of landscaping materials that make unsightly for our neighborhoods. Please check our website, Beautiful Edison, for the next volunteer opportunities. We're always grateful for our volunteers. The National Guard is open every Wednesday from 5 p.m. to 6:30. 16 to 30-year-olds can work out for free. You don't have to be a part of the National Guard. National Night Out will be August 2nd from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. We look forward to seeing everyone there. Middlesex County Fair, August 1st through the 7th. It's a great opportunity to see the 4-H and visit your other townships. Amboy Avenue has become very noisy at nighttime. I get reports from my neighbors. There seems to be some kind of drag racing going on. If we can have a little bit more police activity or patrols, but between Amboy Avenue and Woodbridge and Ford Avenue. I'd like to check on the status of the farmers market. I don't know. I've sent an email, so I don't know if we're ever going to have a farmers market again. Looking for an update on the crossing guard situations come September. Do we have enough crossing guards? And update on the before and after care. Thank you.
Thank you. Any members of the public? Yes, Miss. First time speaker in the front. Gentlemen, yes, please. Your name and address, please.
Thank you. Pradyumna Chaudhary from Summer Street, Edison.
You have the floor.
Thank you. This is a long outstanding issue which we have described to multiple times to many people. This is about the flooding situation on Summer Street. This has occurred, last year it was very bad, but whenever there is a flash flooding, our street gets flooded. And we have pictures and videos to kind of prove that the water is coming from that distant building, which before that building there was no problem at all. So our, you can say, what we are looking for actually is the solution now, and would like to know what's the next step. Because we have been pursuing this for over a year, and we have also met the mayor once, and also submitted all the, let's say, the pictures and the videos. So what should we be doing to see some action now? So we'd like to hear from the committee.
It's the first time I'm hearing of it. However, I know Councilman Brescher's been discussing flooding in different areas along with other council members. Does the engineer have any comment right now, or do you want?
Moment, but we are meeting with the prior engineers to discuss the whole issue with them because they've looked at it previously.
Council President?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Councilman Brescher?
Yes, this is the flooding issue that I brought up the other day, on Monday, to see if they could look into it. I believe we have 1, 2, 3, 4 areas in Edison that have flooded. The other engineers were supposed to come up with something. When your firm was first hired, I know at that first meeting I asked about that. So I guess somehow we want to get some kind of answers to the residents, right? And that was one of the items I brought up when we were talking about that budget, how we only had $200,000 for sewers. I mean, the repairs are more than that, you know what I mean? But then that wouldn't even take care of all the engineering fees for it. But we have to address these issues. This is the infrastructure, you know, that we have to address. So if we can get an answer by next meeting, if you can get a hold of the other engineer, or if you'd like, I take you for a walk down each of these areas. Either way, whatever, we can do to help facilitate it.
May I say something more?
Sure, but you have it for 6 minutes.
Thanks. So some of the things are very obvious, like from the adjacent building, there is a slope coming towards our street. And so it's very obvious that when the water comes, when it pours, the water just comes through this, And then when there was like Ida storm, that time the entire fence broke away, and also the shed moved from one side to other. The force of the water coming from the other side is tremendous. So what we are hoping is actually some of the obvious things can be fixed as early as possible. We know that maybe if you want to kind of open up the whole piping system, it could be a very big task, but at least some solutions that are very obvious should be taken up. That's our request.
And what is your address?
54 Summer Street.
The whole street is flooded actually. It is not a one home or two homes.
Can you speak to the microphone, please? I'm sorry.
The whole street was flooded. Every time when there is a flooding, the street and backyard is flooding, and it is known to everybody, I think. So we are hoping that some kind of a solution and fix, permanent fix for the solution. It is really disturbing the residents. Yeah.
The next heavy rainstorm, I'll go out there myself personally. I'll try to get your number before
I
you
can
leave.
show you all the photos and everything. That is a proof, right? When you are coming, if you don't see it, it doesn't mean that we are not flooded or anything. If you want, I can show all the photographs, videos, and everything.
I believe you. Unfortunately, it's a complicated,
You
job
can
for the
walk.
engineer.
You're welcome to walk our home street, any of the street. You can knock the door. We can show you what it is and everything anytime. You don't have to wait for the rain. That will be really appreciated and helpful. And please
I'll
do
get
visit.
I'll get your number before you leave tonight. I'll get your phone number before you leave.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Council President?
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Yes.
We work with Mr.
Councilman
Yeah,
Mr.
I have received, several phone calls, and, Councilman Bashir is right. Monday night when we asked that question on the engineering side. And also I spoke to Bob Deal, I think it was 2 weeks ago. He said that he will personally come and see that so he can work with the mayor's office, engineering department, and take the next course of action. So stay tuned. I understand that this has been delayed. We can't wait for the rain and flooding to happen, but it is at works. And I assure you that by next week, we'll reach out. We'll be in that residence to, along with engineering and along with the mayor's office to revisit and look at the possible options to mitigate the situation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Council President.
Sorry, one more thing. So when we have the options, could we have a plan of action as well?
We have several things in mind, but again, as I said, the way government works, we cannot just, it's not the private entity, we can fix certain things, right? Unfortunately, the area around, there is a creek, right? So DEP gets involved. So there will be some tactical solution, I believe so, and there will be permanent ones, because DEP approval takes time. And we don't want to go that route of waiting for 2 years to, get the issue resolved. So there will be interim steps will be taken. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Ms. Dittman?
Gloria Dittman, Midland Road.
You recognize you have the floor.
Can you give me the status of this one resolution? I apologize, I came in very late, so I don't know what happened with this one. 072022.
Madam Clerk? 07.
Do you need the full number?
The cultural.
446 072022.
It was approved.
It was approved.
It was approved? Some of you know, maybe you don't know, that I'm president of the Edison Art Society. Is it appropriate for me to make a comment now?
Absolutely, yes.
Thank you.
It's been approved. But you can comment on anything during the public time.
Okay. This is my 9th year as being president of the Edison Art Society. And I believe in those 9 years we have made tremendous strives as far as getting people in Edison to appreciate and acknowledge the arts. One of the things we did was putting that beautiful mural to the entrance to this building. That certainly enhances this building because it's pretty funny looking. Last summer, 3 months, we did 5 murals. Every 5 weeks, we changed the exhibit in this building on the 2nd and 3rd floor. We have had concerts. We have had poetry readings. We've done a number of things. We give out scholarships every year to art students in Edison, also to Middlesex College, as well as J.P. Stevens and Edison High School. I think doing this, having a cultural arts committee, is a duplication of efforts. But it's a free country, you could do whatever you want. But I think that's really stealing some of our thunder. I appreciate you listening to me.
Council President? Thank you, Ms. Dittman, and thank you for the work you do with the Edison Art Society.
Council
Yes,
President?
you're recognized, you have the floor. Council.
Gloria, my friend, you know I am one of your biggest advocates. You know I happily joined the Edison Arts Society, and I love what you do. I'll be there next week when you have the next exhibit. And I sing your praises and sing the Edison Art Society praises every chance that I get. I am also in favor of this committee, because, and I don't see the committee and the Edison Art Society necessarily being in conflict with one another. I actually think that there could be work together. I don't think it interferes with any of the wonderful projects that the Edison Art Society does. I think that the commission would be looking at some of the larger things. I'm hoping that that this committee might be able to help at least help achieve what I hope is my vision of getting a cultural and performing arts center. I'm hoping that in some way I can be a liaison to that commission, but also remain one of your biggest advocates and see where there might be some opportunities for you to work together. But I don't see this committee stealing any of your thunder, taking anything away from you. I think that all of the wonderful things that you do will stay with the Edison Arts Society, and I will do everything I can to make sure of that. So I just wanted to give you some reassurance. I'm a big fan. You know that. Okay. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Councilman Harris. Any other members? Yes, I'm sorry, Mr. Tar hasn't spoken yet. Do you mind if I just get him, please?
I find it kind of interesting that
Your name and address, please.
Donald Tarr, 52 Reader Edison.
You're recognized. You have the floor.
Thank you, sir. I find it kind of interesting that my wife has been typecast and characterized as a political operative. Considering that neither she nor I hold any political office, haven't for years, but we do have opinions. And I guess in Edison, if you have an opinion, that makes you a political operative. But we like to deal in facts. Facts are facts, they can't be hidden. Councilman Brescher missed 2 consecutive combined meetings, period, fact. One of those meetings, he didn't even have the common courtesy to notify the council that he wouldn't be there, fact. Now, very briefly, I worked in the field of education for over 45 years. And in that time, I probably attended literally thousands of meetings. And my colleague Joyce up there will probably attest, many of those meetings we didn't want to go to. We didn't like them, and we didn't like the format. But just because we didn't like the format didn't mean we didn't show up. And we certainly wouldn't stand in the background, leave the dais, go to the back of the room, and give pontifications about what we felt. Because if we did that, they'd be filing tenure charges against us. I heard something this evening that I've never heard at a council meeting before. A council member say that he didn't trust his fellow council members. That tears at the very fabric of our council. You know, how can you function with someone having that sort of philosophy? And I'll end with this. Hopefully, council members are more forgiving of Mr. Brescher than obviously he is of you.
Thank you, Mr. Tarr.
Council President.
Yes, Councilman Brescher.
I'd like to say, when I said that they're political, I mean, I know that they worked against me when I was trying to get elected. I mean, we all know that. And that's okay. That's their prerogative. And I do understand that they come here to support the mayor whenever they can. And that's okay, too. That is their prerogative. But when they took part in that farce where they dragged my wife in here to try and torment me, that, to be honest with you, crossed the line. Other things have happened that just kind of push that same agenda forward. And that's just where I go with this. That's why I say they're political, because when I see people that come up here like Christo, and Christo has beaten me up here, and he's beaten everybody else up now.
He has the floor.
Originally, some of our other members here come up and they disagree with me, and I get that. But then there's other members, and they just disagree with me all the time, and they just agree with the mayor and everybody else all the time. So yes, it does make you political. And, you know, that's just how I see you. But I guess the next time during the next campaign, you'll be working very hard to get me out, I guess. So good luck to you, Mr. Tarr.
Thank you, Councilman Brescher. Yes, Ms. Wilkie?
Lois Walkie, Peak Road.
I'm sorry, you're recognized and have the floor.
Thank you. I guess I wasn't the only one taken aback by Councilman Brescher's recent actions, since two other speakers spoke tonight. I'd like to comment on my disappointment on the boycotting of 2 council meetings by Councilman Brescher due to his differing views on some council business. I realize that everyone has the right to express his views as a private citizen. That includes elected officials, such as council members. But Councilman Brescher didn't even have the courtesy to notify the council of his intended absence. I question Councilman Brescher's boycotting 2 council meetings and sitting in the audience to express his views if it was proper, rather than sitting on the dais. I question whether he was fulfilling his obligation under the oath he took. Was it dereliction of duty, as I think one council member may have suggested at Monday's meeting? He held up the business of the council due to his unexpected absence. In all my years attending council meetings, I don't recall a council member ever resorting to this tactic or theatrics, as stated by other council members Monday night. Is this a dereliction of duty on his part? Also, is he being paid? He is being paid to attend meetings by taxes by Edison residents. Perhaps Councilman Brescher should not be paid for these 2 meetings. It doesn't seem appropriate or responsible for a council member to pick and choose what meetings he will not attend due to differing views. I don't know what the proper legal protocol is under these circumstances. I don't know if it was followed by Councilman Brescher. I would appreciate the township attorney clarifying if what Councilman Brescher did was acceptable. At any rate, I think Councilman Brescher owes the residents of Edison an apology. And my questions could be answered afterward. I have one more issue. Or if you want to answer it now, you can. Whatever Council President deems
Please.
proper, whether or not this was protocol under the law.
Ask your question. We're here.
Well, for you or the attorney, I just want to know if this was proper.
You're saying him missing the meeting?
Pardon me?
Are you discussing Mr. Brescher missing the meeting for that?
What he did
Your
sitting
direct
in-
question?
Yeah.
I mean, at this time, I don't want to engage in a back and forth over this matter. I'm not going to have him answer that question.
Okay, well, hopefully the question will be answered eventually. The other issue I have is the racist flyer, which I brought up a couple of council meetings ago, and I said I would be speaking about it. I'd like to know what the status is of the investigation, first of all, and who is following up on it. It's been years since the Committee of the Whole looked into this issue. It's a disgrace that it appears the Attorney General and Trenton officials are sweeping this issue under the rug. Under Resolution 50409-2018, it was sent Federal Express to the Attorney General, Gruber at that time, requesting prompt attention to this matter. And this was back in September of 2018. Here it is 2022. Are we any further along on this issue? If not, Edison officials should not allow this apparent disrespect to our town. There were investigations and subpoenas needed to be issued by the Committee of the Whole due to uncooperative witnesses. One witness, an elected official, recanted his original story. Another witness, also an elected official, had to be subpoenaed to get his testimony. Most of his testimony were replies when questioned, and they were, "I can't remember" or "I can't recall." It's time we remove this cloud hanging over Edison. What is the next move Edison will take on this matter? Who will take it? May I please have comments from the council or the attorney?
Ms. Wilkie, it's an ongoing investigation with the AG's office, and at this time, it's in their hands. It's been in their hands for the time since you just spoke on that date. So there's nothing this council would have an answer for differently than what's provided by the Attorney General's office.
Council President,
Yes, Councilman Brescher?
I thank Ms. Wilkie for coming up and rounding out the crew that came up with my wife did that night, so I appreciate that for you. But when you talk about the racist flyer, to be quite honest with you, it was very apparent that somebody within the Democratic Party did this, right? I mean, you don't have to be a genius to figure that one out. The question is who? Now, very simply put, in any type of crime, right, it's the person that benefited the most. Yet the people that got pointed fingers at had nothing that they could benefit from. The benefit, who benefited the most from the first time the racist flyer came out, and who benefited the most through the investigation? Okay, because the people that were accused had nothing to benefit the first time and nothing to benefit the second time. So
Point
I
of order.
say that committee of a whole was a farce that was put up.
Councilman Brescher, I respect
Councilman,
your comments, but this,
but let me answer the
this is
question.
this
Point
is
of
not
order.
this is not our investigation. We know this. We've dragged this through. There is a committee. If that committee, and that should be taken to this committee if we're going to go further. I think for those who are waiting to speak, I don't think this is a time to be going over this same issue for the last 5 years.
Question was asked.
And you've answered it.
And I was commenting, and then you interrupted me.
I'm sorry, please, Mr. Brescher, I'm asking for professional courtesy for those who are listening, waiting to speak. Would you please wrap up?
As Councilman Coyle, when I sat up here next to you for whatever, I'm going to put my timer on because a councilman deserves to talk to Mr. Sweeney. Is it 12 minutes? How long does a councilman get to talk? Joe would always keep track. So, but now that Joe's president, everybody else has a timer on him. I'm done, Councilman.
Thank you, Councilman Brescher. I appreciate the courtesy.
Okay.
And Ms. Wilkie, your time is up.
Okay, and I still think you owe the residents of Edison an apology. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we had first time in the back. Yes, please come up. I'm sorry, Nick Fagan never even came up at all. I apologize, Nick.
I'm sorry, Rich Sweeney,
And
313
Mr. Sweeney,
Sutton's
it
Lane.
has to be a rebuttal.
It is a rebuttal
It's your
about,
second
you
time
didn't
it's
want
a
to
rebuttal.
rebuttal with me about
Now
the
just-
fire
we're
system.
doing our best. Okay, it's
Okay.
your rebuttal and fire
Well,
system.
what I'm gonna ask you is, don't close the senior building at any cost. There's what they call a fire watch. I think you should speak to the fire chief about the fire watch while this system is not operable, because I've had to do it in an 8-story building. And the other thing is, I always praise the Edison Police Department. They're the finest. I come from a family of police officers, meaning state, Port Authority, other municipalities, as well as this municipality, that I have family members that are officers. And there was an incident in my neighborhood, and this is why I praise the police department in Edison, New Jersey, is because within 2 days of a break-in and stealing the car and whatever, and thank God the senior citizens were sleeping, who knows what would happen, but the suspects were apprehended within 2 days. That's why I always praise the Edison Police Department. Thank you.
Thank you. Nick Fagan?
Nick Fagan, 42 Edgewood.
You recognize you have the floor.
Thank you, Council President. I appreciate that you reached the right decision, that emergencies need to be emergencies, but we need to do better. We need to do better as a council, and we need to do better in writing the agendas and getting the information from the administration over to you guys in a timely manner. Ms. Conway put it best. Why are we using snail mail for something we need to probably email if it's really going to be an emergency? If it seems like the administration was trying to pull the wool over your eyes and the citizens' eyes, and I appreciate that you respected the council's processes and our due processes of spending taxpayer money, and not making this a candy machine. That's also a very, very valid
And Nick,
analogy.
just for clarification, I was just defending, I did not know the route of communication. I didn't say it came snail mail. I just said it could have came from any direction. This happens. We made the right decision, and I hope we can come to an answer over this week.
So, but Mr. Council President, you set the agenda, you set the tone. I need you to do better. We all need you to do better and not miss this kind of stuff. It looks bad. It looks all kinds of bad. It's just very embarrassing. So let's do better. With that said, thank you again. This is the gift that keeps on giving. Thank you again for live streaming the zoning board meeting. So I was able to watch it last night. I had something going on at the house and I couldn't get there, but I was able to absorb the meeting in real time as it was going on, along with, I don't know, a handful of other residents as well that were also watching in real time. And so it's not just me. There were plenty of other residents watching, and they were able to engage and be part of the discussion, even though we can't talk, right? We could absorb it in real time, and we really did appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the next thing is, I was here on Monday, and I hope you're feeling better, Councilman Pointer. Thank you for being here today. But I was looking for a response in Planning Board on the same topic. And you can choose to answer or not, but I was looking for, and you were here on Monday, so I was looking if Planning Board has, if Chairman Sandelsky has said anything about if he's going to bring that up or not, and how we should address the council or address the Planning Board for that. The other thing that I wanted to point out for you in public, in this meeting, Councilman Pointer, is that public comment at the Planning Board has been eliminated from the agenda. It went away sometime in 2019-ish, but it had been a long-standing practice to have public comment in the planning board meetings, and it has disappeared. And as we go into the master plan work that is coming up here very soon, I would encourage you as council to either encourage them to bring it back, or as you as the liaison, get with the chair and encourage them to bring it back, because right now there's no way to talk to the planning board besides on a specific case, okay? The other thing that I would also ask for is from the BA and from maybe the city administration. We asked today for the resolution for Charlie Brown's, and we were told that we would have to Oprah for it. It's a public document for the city. It should be part of the file as part of public inspection and be able to be seen from 8 to 5, I believe. You can choose, I believe, to do that, to make us go through Oprah, and we have. We put one in. You guys got it today. But really, do we have to do that? Could you just be a little customer service friendly and let us have the document that you passed, that a board of this town passed yesterday? Further, we're not following our own rules in planning board or in a subsidiary group planning board called TRC, Technical Review Committee. It may seem like a small thing, but you're not doing something called the certificate of completeness, which is prescribed in the bylaws of those documents. The problem is I have nowhere to go because there's no public comment at planning board, because TRC is a subsidiary of planning board, so I can't tell them that there's a problem in their processes. You're also not doing the certificate, the checklist of completeness, as it says in your own bylaws, in our bylaws, that says you will do that. I have Oprah'd the administration and the secretary who works for the administration, and she has said we haven't done that in ages. We haven't ever done that. And it's prescribed in our rules. So again, the theme is we need to do better. We need to follow our own rules and procedures. I'm happy to talk to you afterwards and give you all the full details of what we're seeing, but we're not following our own rules and procedures that are written down, and they're ages old and probably nobody's ever seen before but me, but we're not following them. So I would ask you that we be able to look into that, or you help me look into that so that we can get those rectified. We follow our processes and not get sued or have defects in our cases. So that's all I have. Thank you.
I'll discuss it with Councilman Pointer later. If you want, you hold him to the end for all your answers. He has a bunch of questions he's going to answer right at the end of the public session. In the back. Christo's not recognized. He's been asked to lead this meeting. He's not recognized in this chamber. Last call for speakers. Please come up.
All right. Oh, man, last time I was here was hot. Now today is cold. Good. Let's keep it like this. AJ Benz, Edison, New Jersey. Good evening, everybody.
You recognize you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President, Council President. I was here a little late, but the beginning of the meeting, they said something about cannabis or shops open around, I guess, Amboy Avenue or somewhere, if I'm not mistaken. If so, we can approve that as soon as possible. That'll be great. I don't know if Mr. Sweeney is here, but with the Amazon thing, I want to make myself very clear for Amazon. They need to start respecting the township of Edison. They make so much money and they don't look at us like we're like pieces of dirt. They need to start recognizing us and respecting this township of Edison. Also, the drag racing. I'm going to make myself clear. If anybody starts doing drag racing in this township, I'm not sure if the officers are behind, I will ask the Edison Police Department to find them, ticket them, arrest them, because I do not play any games when you're going to start drag racing. You know, the 3,000 miles away, they have to close the 6th bridge because the American people with the Los Angeles department bought the redo the bridge. Now you got these people burning, doing wheelies, and it thinks it's okay to do it here in Township of Edison. They already shut down the 6th bridge, already the 4th day, but I'm going to tell you this drag racing needs to stop. If you hear any screeching, contact the police department, 911. If you have videos, send it to police, because I've seen incidents like this, and I do have to call and say, hey, there's people are literally speeding on Woodbridge Avenue, where I live. They think it's okay. You keep doing this, and I'm telling you, you're gonna get arrested or fined or ticketed or both. Because I'm done. And let's start getting the township going with Amazon to stop the drag racing. Let's put medical marijuana dispensaries in this town. Because I worked for a cannabis job, and I can just tell you right now that the cannabis industry will be booming, and it's already. This is just the appetizer. The main course is coming down the road, and hopefully, with this money, with this cannabis, we can give it back to the township, so we can start building things and do things better. That's all I gotta say. Thank you, and God bless you guys, and God bless the great state of New Jersey, of Edison, New Jersey.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Yes, you can have rebuttal, Ms. Tar, yes.
Just a slight correction. Lois Tarr, 52 Reeder Road, Edison, New Jersey.
Yes, you recognize you have the floor.
Mr. Brescher, if you go back and review the minutes of that meeting and review the council.
Please
meeting,
direct your questions to the chair.
I would like Mr. Brescher to go back and review the council meeting that he spoke about where my husband and I disparaged his wife. In fact, we were the only people that did not bring his wife in because of our respect for June, his wife. He, however, at that meeting, had disparaging comments about people in the public and on the dais. And I believe it's the first time I've ever heard a council meeting disparage the public that elected him.
Thank you, Ms. Tar. Any other comments from the public? Seeing none, is motion to adjourn? Motion to close the public portion.
Motion to close public portion.
Have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? This public portion is closed. Have a motion to, well, I'm sorry. Public portion is closed, and John Pointer, I'm sorry, Councilman Pointer, you want to speak?
Yes, thank you, Council President, and thank you for everyone's time. Just to address the items from Mr. Fagan first, I've had conversations. I just do things behind, I try to be private in my conversations. I will admit that there was an opportunity to speak at the last planning board. I erred in not bringing it up at that time. I erred. In regards to the TRC, at the last planning board meeting, one of the first action items that was taken was to give the TRC more autonomy in regards to the checklist items. Now, this is something I'm not 100% understanding of all the nuances with it, but my understanding is that it would allow the TRC the ability to actually accept or deny the completeness of an application based on the checklist. It's also something that I've brought to administration in regards to some items, because you may be aware there's 3 different schedules. There's items up to 20 acres, 20 to 100 acres, and over 100 acres, right? I've made a request, and I think that there will be action items in the near future that will revise that to make it more fluid. In regards to the TRC, also, some of the things I've pointed out are there's supposed to be a member from the Environmental Commission, and there's the ability to have a citizens representative. I believe I brought that up in the February meeting. So hopefully some of those comments are acted on in the near future. In regards to Amazon, last week on Tuesday, July 19th, I went at 10:15 to Elizabeth and Outcalt to take a look. I was going to do follow-ups, but as you can see, things happen, and my follow-ups at last week kind of got sidetracked, so I appreciate your understanding with that. And just because it was called out, if I may kind of defend myself, I spoke with the Director of Public Health, to make sure about everything in regards to tonight. I spoke with my colleagues closest to me if they wanted me to stay off to the side with a wireless microphone. I've tried to follow every protocol that's there. I did want to speak about what I had witnessed when I was on alcohol. I did go on Elizabeth and stayed there a bit, but someone had pulled up and, you know, you see someone get out of their car at 10:15 at night, yeah, you'd be like, so. But you can absolutely hear, I guess, it's the pistons or whatever in the trucks giving off the hissing noise. You can feel the vibrations, and it should be noted that I experienced that at the street, at the sidewalk. So I am 25 feet in front of the house, let alone another 30 feet plus back at the rear, which is closer to the actual property line. I make note of this because it brought more clarity to me about the situation that you are facing. Now, we here on the dais in May, at the end of May, approved to update the noise ordinance. And I just wanted to read specifically what two of those item adjustments were that, in theory, are supposed to help address this situation. We are aware that the noise ordinance is supposed to be 10 o'clock p.m. to either 7 o'clock a.m. or 8 o'clock a.m., depending on which day it actually falls on. Item number 4 specifically added construction equipment, heavy equipment operated under its own motor or engine, and that is for loading and unloading, closing or other handling or transportation. So in theory, that ordinance should be applicable now. Now, we did have to wait a 20-day waiting period because that's just how ordinances work. So as of, I believe, around June 20th, that aspect should now be enforceable. The other item was on number 5, where it said that standing motor vehicles, permitted with a couple of other items, or in any other location whereby the noise created by such vehicle while stationary creates a noise disturbance across a residential property line between the hours of 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. the following day. I heard that from the street, so it's clear that they're in violation of it. We have to do better in regards to the enforcement. I think that we will assist in the matter. When one of our first correspondences, I had mentioned, is it noise or is it actual vibrations? Because of the actual how sound waves work, why I asked that. Hopefully we are able to adjust the matter and expedite it. I try not to overstep boundaries in regards to correspondences because, as you know, things have been being worked on. There were other communications, so I didn't want to just come in and all of a sudden throw my 2 cents in without having a better understanding. What I'm asking, originally, I was going to ask about the subcommittee, which thank you, Council President, for reinstituting that. Councilman Patil for suggesting the revitalization of that. If we can schedule a meeting with the 3 of us to go actually see the wall, to see how it actually functions, just to get clearer understanding from our end. I appreciate, sorry for my long-windedness, and hopefully that helps at least understand what I wanted to say at that point. So, sorry.
No problem. Thank you, Councilman. Any
Council President?
Yes, Councilman.
Sonia,
you have the floor.
Yeah. Since Mrs. Conway, she's always talking about the sidewalks, and I know the planning board had an ordinance for sidewalks, so if you could find that information for me about sidewalks, then both of us will be, me and Ms. Conway both will be happy.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Any other council members that want to?
Motion to close.
Any motion to close the public portion?
Motion to close the public portion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion adjourned. Thank you, Mr. Gordon. No problem.